Hello and welcome to another gear guide. Today we're going to be talking about a very lofty matter. What does loft mean? What about different outers? What is an outer? What is an inner? What is in your innermost being? We're not going to talk about all of that actually, we're just going to talk about down jackets. And it's going to be very interesting, I hope. I do hope. Hope is all we really have these days, I must say. No, that's not all we have. We've got great stuff. Look at this trail. Oh, yeah. Anyway, please enjoy this video about down jacket. Here we are on a little patch of trail to talk about down jackets. And the biggest thing with down jackets is loft. And here we have some lofty tree branches. So when it comes to loft, it is a unit of density. So for 700 loft, let's say, we're talking 28.5 grams, which is 1 ounce of down, will occupy 700 cubic inches of volume. And say 800 loft, that means that same 1 ounce, 28.5 grams of down will occupy 800 cubic inches, and so forth. So the higher the loft count or the fill power, the better the quality of the down. It is less durable though. So obviously if you've got the same amount of down filling more space, more of that volume is air relative to the down with a higher loft down. So when you wash it, it's all going to crumple, and that's fine, but with a higher loft down, it's less likely to reach its former self because there's less of it to hold the structure of the jacket, to fill out the baffles in your jacket. So there's that to consider. Another thing is duck versus goose. So duck down generally has a lower loft count. The clusters in the goose down are bigger. Generally you pay more for them. You've also got hydrophobic treatments that you can put on down, so they often put like a waxy coating on them so that when your jacket gets wet, it maintains most of its insulative properties. But there's a couple of videos that I've seen, I'll link one down below, where down is itself quite hydrophobic, which of course makes sense because geese and ducks, their outer feathers are very hydrophobic because they're covered in oil, but then obviously if you're a duck, evolutionarily, you don't want to get wet at all. Otherwise you get freezing cold. So the down is quite hydrophobic, so you may not really need water resistant treated down. There's also synthetic down. That is, the calling card of that is that it maintains something like 90% of its insulative properties whilst wet, but you can't get nearly the same fill power out of it. It's volume to weight ratio, its density. You want density to be as low as possible, as we said. Its density is much, much higher than natural down generally. And that makes it, obviously you're going to have a heavier jacket for the same level of warmth. But the care that goes into looking after one is its lower maintenance. And the last thing to talk about is the outer. So you've got a durable water repellent coating on pretty much every down jacket, which it's pretty much on every outdoor bit of gear there is. It's on this vest. It's on pretty much everything. And there's also different materials that they use. So you can have, say, a Pertex Quantum is one outer used on some of the high-end Macback jackets. Basically, for something to loft well, for it to truly be its 700, what it says on the label, you really want a super lightweight outer so that it can actually loft up. If you got a heavy material, heavy outer that your jacket's made out of, it's going to compromise the performance of the down. Obviously, if you're wearing a backpack or a jacket or something, or if the jacket itself is very tight and hard pressed up against your skin, it's going to compress the down. And so in that compressed section of down, it might be too loft, right? You might be getting 2 cubic inches per ounce in that particular spot. So you want your outer to be nice and lightweight so that it can fully loft. And that is probably about all I want to say. Oh yes, also natural down. One of the greatest things about down is it's incredibly packable. It's amazing that it can compress to almost nothing and then expand again and take up all that, adopt all that air to make those nice warm air pockets. Again, synthetic down, not so much, not nearly as packable. So if you're short on space in your backpack for hiking, camping, or bike packing, definitely go for down. Natural down is going to be more expensive, but as far as your sleeping bag and your jacket and or your little booties or your down pants, depending on how freezing cold the place you're going to is, you're definitely going to want natural down. Alright, so I was just editing this at home, and one more key point is the usefulness of loft count in comparing across brands. So usually within the same brand they'll have different warmth ratings relative to their own range. So Macpac will have that, Kathmandu will have that. But if you're comparing jackets between brands, you want to be accurate by having two jackets with the same loft and then the same fill in grams, the same fill weight. Brands won't always publish the fill weight, but that's the best way to do it. So then you've got the same density, and you compare how much of that down of the same density is in each jacket, and that should give you an accurate warmth comparison.
That'll do, pig. That'll do.
That'll do, pig. That'll do.